Ooh, spooky. Yeah, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Dakota Prairie Outdoors pre-show. The main show starting here in about 15, 16 minutes. So just getting online, making sure all the stations can get hooked up and what have you. So good morning to you. Hope everything is going well in your world today. That's all I got. Okay, so hopefully the audio's coming through. Let me know if everything's good to go on your end. And I'm going to get some things set up on my end here. See if I have everything ready to roll. That's ready to go. Well, what else is happening in your world today? Part 2. Bag boom. Part 2. There we are. Audio is coming through. Nice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have about 15 minutes. If you're watching this as a rerun, just getting on here a little early, making sure we can get everything hooked up and all that good stuff today. Time for my weekly dose. Ivermectin. It's Ramgalidase today. So there you have that. Cool windy day. It's also McQuaid's going on, I think, today. This weekend. I think. Here's to you. Happy Saturday morning. Ivermectin on its way. The taste isn't getting any better, that's for sure. I don't know if it's working or not, but I haven't been sick in a long time. Also, haven't had a single tick yet this year. But the gnats are biting me up here, and the mosquitoes are pretty bad this year. How about you guys? So there's a difference in water everywhere you go. There's no doubt about it. But there is something about this coal vein water out this way here in the Badlands. It's like wicked super soft. And like it doesn't take much shampoo to do anything. It doesn't anymore for me anyway. But it's pretty good tasting stuff, man. Remember growing up in Raleigh area, we had 2 wells. We had to drill a second well because of the milk inspector was claiming that our first well was just too hard of water. It wasn't doing its job, so we had to dig a second one to get softer water. But that hard water, man, the best water you can have out working out in the field or doing anything. Freeze a little bit of it in a milk jug at the bottom there and fill the rest up. You have it all day long. Good stuff. That I miss. Should we get, excuse me. Should we get old Johnny Arman on early? See if he's available. I think that I'm going off of memory, making sure that's the number. We'll see. Let's see who we get today. Maybe it's morning, Big Daddy Dave.
Good morning.
Morning, John Harmon.
How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Karen is ready in Mobridge. Pierre's ready. Wayne Muth is ready. Morning, Eric. There we go. We're on live on YouTube, by the way. Pre-show.
Okay.
Pre-show. Taking my ivermectin.
Are you getting sick again or what?
No, I take it every Saturday morning.
Yeah,
Haven't been sick.
that's good.
I call it maintenance.
I'm a little sore today, a little stiff.
All the fishing.
Yeah, it actually was a drive, turning and burning, driving down there Tuesday night and then getting up and driving and then sitting in the boat all day and then driving all the way back home.
I agree.
Too much.
When you're not used to something, it does make you sort of like I was jumped into Swather for this year, finally get to make a little bit of hay this year, and I probably sat in there for 4 hours and jumped out to take a little break, and I wasn't used to the sitting like that for a long time.
No, it's been, it's tough, and I've been on a tractor quite a bit this year, and that bouncing. My back this time of year is always bad, and then when I start haying, and then you're always turned the one way. I can't turn. I can only sit and look one way, and when you bail, it's always the same way. When you swath, it's usually the same way. It's like I'm always looking behind me, and I get kinked.
So I upgraded. I went from a disc mine, or a pull behind disc mine, which worked okay, but in the shorter grass type, especially crested, it just didn't work that good. So I went to a regular swather. So now I'm just looking straight forward. It's way better. Yeah. But on the other side is my baler. You really don't need to look behind. And I know I do because out of habit, but you have the monitor in front of you. Everything is straightforward and it should work. But hold on here, John. I got somebody calling in. I'm going to take this one off air. Okay. Stand by.
Okay.
Good morning. Awesome. Telemarketers now have my toll-free number to call in and talk to me that way now.
Yes.
Quite the thing. You know that telemarketing, what a racket that is.
How would you like to have that your job?
Here's the thing. So sitting on the broadband company that I sit on out of Dickinson, we go to national meetings. We're required to go to a couple of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was on this phishing and telemarketing scams. The people that are doing this have developed software where they can make over 1 million calls every 60 seconds. And just one person that day, if one person out of all the calls they make would just fall for it one time, it pays like so crazy. And how they do this. And so we're like, well, how can we get after it? Most of them are coming from, what was it? The Philippines, Argentina, and very few of them are from the United States. They did bust one person in Chicago that was making booga bucks off of it, but quite the scam, man.
Those guys should be thrown in prison for life.
Why would I want to pay for them to have 3 square meals a day, fitness center, full benefits, health, vision? We got to find something else besides prison to put them in.
I didn't say a nice prison.
Yeah, we can't, but we can't treat them poorly in prison anymore. You got to be all nice.
I know. Messed up world.
It is messed up. Oh, I had a great branding yesterday and a neighbor's. Yeah, just what a good day.
Yeah, it was a nice day too. For you guys, was it cool out there?
It was actually really cool. The wind picked up further on along in the day. It got a little bit on the windy side, but we got her done. And God, it's one of those days where it's just nice when your horse works just the way you really want it to all the time. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it's already the wind's starting to pick up here. It's supposed to be windy today, but
she's blowing out this way. I got about 40 acres of hay on the ground, so it'll dry out. I mean, it's overcast. It's trying to spit a little bit here and there, but it's not going to do too much. Excuse me, man. I had the Calcutta last night. It's Rame Gala Days, so they have big parades. There's a whole bunch of class reunions going on this weekend and big rodeo. So we did the Calcutta for the rodeo last night in the bar. And out of the entire bars out of the entire state of North Dakota, this one still allows smoking.
Oh, gosh.
So I got some goofiness going on in my throat. Stations, it is 6:57, 7:57 Mountain or Central Time on Mark. Excuse me.
I don't know if I could handle that anymore.
Well, I thought I could, but it's not. It's got some phlegm coming up this morning.
It's crazy. Like you said, the guy used to, as a kid, that was the way it was. Never seemed to bother a guy.
I remember jumping in my folks' 1974 Ford LTD 2-door car, going to church, chain smoking parents in the front, windows closed. You know, I mean, it's just what you grew up with. You didn't think anything different because that's how you grew up, you know. But once you're away from it for a long time, it's hard to take that smell again.
Well, I got kids from schools, you know, they bring their backpacks, and those backpacks smell so bad sometimes. And I don't know if some of them realize that what you can tell the difference between cigarette smoke and
marijuana smell. Yeah. So there's cigarette smoke, and then there's skunk piss smell. And it's like, okay, you've been into the electric lettuce a little bit there.
Oh, man. I hope I loosen up a little bit. It's going to be a rough day. I feel like I'm 90.
Jump in your hot tub.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't have one?
Nope. I had one a long time ago, but they're a pain in the butt.
See, I didn't think it was that bad. What's that place on the strip that deals with them?
Killer Hearth and Home has them.
So I went to them when I had that one in Mandan, and I asked them, I'm like, is there like a simple thing? And they're like, yeah, there's like a really simple. I had to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like a quarter ounce of each one of these things, and I didn't have to change water usually in like 8 to 10 months. And I thought it was really simple, but
I think the new ones are that way too. They kind of regulate themselves. You know, we had when the kids were little, and it was kind of like their little swimming pool, and like I said, you either smell like chlorine, or it smells like swamp water.
Yeah,
but it did feel good.
Yeah, I like that. We would really like to get like one of those infrared saunas out here. I think that would be kind of a nice change of pace, but I don't know. Guys just got to take time.
Yeah.
Make your body healthy, baby.
Oh, that's right. Going to the gym, do all that. It's just like, boy, every once in a while when my back starts going, it's been that way.
Yeah. All right, stations, 7 o'clock, 7:00 is all the way across, 8 o'clock Central Time. Coming up on Mark. There you go. 6 minutes to showtime, John. Any wise advice from a school teacher? Hey, did you see Roe versus Wade decision was changed over? What the hell, huh?
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
Well, and I didn't see how they voted on it. Did it say who voted where or how? Or?
I just looked at some of the headlines this morning on. It surprised me, with this administration that they would that would actually be turned over. I just really doesn't believe that would happen.
Well, and again, if people understand it, and from what I'm understanding, it doesn't make abortion illegal. It puts it back in the state where it should, so states can make their own decisions.
Exactly.
And like somebody said, now we're going to watch cities burn down, where it's still legal to get an abortion. So they'll just freak out, and start burning things down.
Yeah, let's destroy other people's personal property to prove a point. I get a text. It says back in the 70s, the weed heads dosed with some kind of oil to mask the weed smell, but the oil was as bad as the smell. Let me guess, it was like patchouli or something like that. Getting ready to go to World of Outlaws for Dad's 71st birthday. World of Outlaws, if I remember right, that was kind of like a monster truck show, wasn't it? Back at the Bismarck Civic Center years ago. I was a kid, I remember. No, that was World of Wheels, sorry. World of Outlaws. So I'm guessing Outlaws, that's sprint car?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Okay. Those sprint cars are awesome. I wish I could have a chance of driving one of those things. Don't they? I mean, they're doing like wicked fast. Awesome.
It's like being on the back roads as a kid.
There was a road from our house, the back roads to Flasher, from the Three Buttes straight north, and there was a cross section. Either you could take a left and go to Raleigh, or go straight north and end up in Flasher. And that intersection was perfect for jumping vehicles. It was just the right slope. I mean, you got some air, maybe 1-2 feet of air, and when you got over the other side of the approach, it was just the right angle to land and nice and smooth. It didn't wreck anything. So, yeah.
Dukes of Hazzard.
I really enjoyed the Dukes of Hazzard, the original Bo and Luke, not the Coy and Vance version of it, but I really thought that was fun.
Wasn't that John Schneider just in town?
He was, yeah, doing his little country singing thing going on.
Yeah,
a lot of people forget he was a country singer for a long time. I don't know if he's any good.
No, I just saw a lot of people posting pictures of him and stuff, and I saw his little thing at the race where he talked about the national anthem, and what it meant and how it would have stood for. So it was pretty good. Yeah.
Big Daddy Dave Williams says the Dukes was my favorite show of all time. My favorite show of all time, WKRP in Cincinnati. That's what made me. I was like, I want to be a radio announcer. I thought it looked so cool. And
you were thinking of Lonnie Anderson.
No, it was Bailey, man. I had a crush on Bailey. Lonnie was too, I don't know, fake. But Bailey was the one I am. But anyway, so now I'm a radio announcer, and it's nothing like it, man. I don't have a cool like Johnny Fever name or Venus Flytrap or any of that stuff. I mean, Big Daddy Dave Williams. Look at his name, Big Daddy. You know, I mean, come on, you got so. Yeah. All right, 2 minutes to showtime.
Yeah, we watch a lot of those old shows now. Watching the Waltons, we got on the Walton kick. And,
wow.
Yeah, it was, and I was telling people, I said, if I was ever a head school administrator, I'd make kids watch these shows every day.
Yeah.
So that they could see what a real family is like.
And lessons that you learn each time.
Yeah. And how you can solve them without shooting each other.
No doubt. Yeah, I suppose might have to touch on some school shootings and see your take on some of this stuff here. Got to be 21 to buy an AR now. You know that? That's what they're proposing.
Yeah, I saw there's a few things trying to go through.
Yeah.
One state there, I think it's in Massachusetts, whatever, signed that you gotta turn in your clips.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a major.
Yeah.
Which
they're forgetting what the Second Amendment was written for.
They really don't care.
But seriously, if you're allowing furries in school, you're probably have the mental illness to the point where we need to look at that side of things here a little bit. All right. Going dead here for 30 seconds. Stand by, John. 7:05:30 stations, 05:30 on mark. 30 seconds to showtime. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of Dakota Prairie Outdoors. I'm Scott Bachmeyer. Good to be along with you here on a beautiful Saturday morning live from the Badlands of North Dakota. Here at the what I like to call the bunkhouse here at the old ranch place here. And a lot of people are always asking, which station do you drive in to do this? With today's technology, and thanks to our rural broadband cooperatives, makes this show possible to do anywhere I travel. So that's kind of cool that way. Big welcome to all of our stations all across the Dakota Territory, especially along the Missouri River. If you're along there, Pierce, South Dakota, KGFX down there, KOLY and Mobridge, on Lake Oahe all the way up to Bismarck, KFYR, and Bismarck, Mandan, KLTC, and KCJB up in the Minot area. Good to have you along with me, especially everybody watching on the YouTube side of things as well. Good morning, everybody. John Arman from Ultimate Outdoor Adventures TV joins me again. He was here last week, and we're like, you know what? It should be a 2-hour program is what John always says. And all right, let's go 2 hours. Here's the second part, part 2. It's just a week later.
Here we go.
Morning, John.
Good morning, buddy.
Big time fishing for you, I guess. Your daughter's back. She's graduated from school and college, and now she's back and she's taking you fishing.
Yep, it was a great trip. We don't get to go fishing very often, and she loves fishing. And a good friend of mine from Bismarck happens to work out in the Williston area, so he's been fishing Fort Peck quite a bit, and he has been just hammering those big trout. And so he invited us along, and it turned out to be a pretty awesome adventure. I mean, it was like, I think we caught 22, 23 of those big lake trout. And I'll tell you what, if you want to catch a fish that makes you work, reeling in those 15 to 20 pound fish, I tell you what, you're not going to do a lot of it.
Well, a lot of the people in my area, they go to Fort Peck to go fishing. They really do. I mean, that's split between Lake Oahe and Fort Peck, and they probably hit both places. But I know that Montana side, they like slamming the walleyes up there too. Did you get any of those?
No, we just fished. I got to get out of this wind. Holy cow!
And the wind's picking up across my area, man. It's already windy in this area too. So
it is here. I went outside and I'm walking to the shop, and it's a little bit breezy.
Yeah.
We didn't chase any walleyes. I know there was other people out there that were bringing some into the cleaning table, but we were strictly after the big fish. To me, if you're going to fish, you might as well catch the biggest ones out there.
So what do you do different for going for lake trout and Fort Peck? What's your rig setup?
What we did, and again, thanks to my buddy Mike and his son John, because Shelby and I didn't have the equipment, we had the rods. You're basically using a walleye rod, maybe a little stiffer one, like a 7-foot, medium action, medium to heavy. And we had, I want to say 15-pound braided line on there. And then you're using big jigs with big plastics. I mean, you're talking, I don't even know what they were, an ounce and a half, because you're fishing down around, we were from 70 to 90 feet.
Oh, way deep then. Okay.
Yep. And so we had talked to, I think the gentleman's name was Scott. He runs a bait shop there, and the super nice guy gave us a bunch of advice. Went across the lake. It was a little bit rough on the way over there, but dropped him down. He hit bottom. You reel it up a couple times, and then you jig it a few times. And then these electronics, it's absolutely insane. You're talking to a guy that has no electronics. I mean, one little fish finder, depth finder. And Mike's boat had, I don't even know what they call them, but it's like watching a video game. He never took his eye off that graph, and he would tell you when the fish were coming. He could see your jig, and then he'd see these fish come up off the bottom, and he'd tell you start reeling. So you'd reel away from them, and then they would just hammer them on the way up. And then you set the hook 2 or 3 times hard, and then hang on.
So how big are these lake trout? How much, like 10, 15 pounders?
Yeah, we caught a lot. I would say that, I think we caught 22 of them, and they probably average, close to that. I would say close to 10 pounds or better. We caught some that were 15 pounds or better. And I know that on good days, they've caught, 25-pound trout before. So they're big fish, and we kept a few of them and got a lot of meat from them. So I took some in to 3B meats to get smoked.
Nice.
And I'm going to make Kurt makes an absolutely amazing, some kind of a dip out of them, and then have some smoked ones, and we have some for the grill.
That's awesome. Fishing, one of the things, you can go anywhere in the United States and get a fishing license and go and enjoy this. But On the hunting side of things, not so much. You're seeing a lot of restrictions on some hunting in different parts of states, and we're going to talk about that probably in the second break. But I know you'll see that. But anyway, the fishing side of things, somebody asked me too. They didn't realize I was testing bulls the other day, and a lady came up and doing a little bit of day labor for me, and she didn't realize that there's a nice little fishing pond in one of our pastures, and game and fish keep it stocked up pretty nicely with trout and bluegills and a little bit of bass in there. But if you want to take kids fishing, you want to find something where they can get into and actually catch something. And I'll tell you what, the fisheries around North and South Dakota, man, they do a heck of a job, don't they?
They really do. And I got to say that watching my daughter, she's 24, she laughed and giggled and hooted the whole time we were fishing. I mean, it was comical because there's something about hooking into a fish, and everybody can do it, and I think that's why you see so many people. And Fort Peck, to me, is super underutilized just because it's kind of a remote area. People don't like to drive there.
No.
And I heard, and I guess I didn't know this, but there's only like one place you can take your boat that is on pavement. The rest of the landings, you got to drive on gravel, and guys with the rigs don't really like to do that. So huge fishery, and like you said, these small farm ponds. I know some kids that catch a lot of fish in these places that the game and fish keep stocked.
Yeah, it's one thing I'll tell you, the fisheries is just phenomenal. And there's always the certain things, like the aquatic nuisance species the guys got to watch out for between one fishery into the next and everything. But that's not that hard to clean up your boat a little bit when you're done out of that and get that done. So
no,
but a long drive for you. And now on docket is waiting. I'm waiting to see if I'm drawn for my gratis tag yet. I see everybody posting on social media that they got drawn for this area and this area, and I'm still waiting here. I'm kind of biting my fingernails, hoping I get everything approved again.
Oh yeah, it should be approved. I mean,
should be.
We do the same thing every year, and that's like you said. Shelby got drawn for her tag. She didn't get drawn last year, so I was hoping that she was going to get drawn this year. And we're starting to see the same thing in North Dakota as everybody else is seeing. Is there's more and more people putting in for tags, less and less tags, less and less opportunities, and it's getting tougher. And I think that's why a lot of guys fish, because there's no lack of opportunities. No one's telling you can hunt or can't hunt.
Yeah.
And so people go out fishing, and again, I can see why people like to fish. I don't know if I could do it every day, but to do it every once in a while, I sure had a good time.
I wouldn't want to do it on a day like today, especially 40 mile an hour gusty winds. I'll wait for I'm a fair weather fishing guy, I guess.
No.
So, Anyway, John, we're up against our first break. John Arman from Ultimate Outdoor Adventures TV is my guest. The phone number to call in, we're going to be talking everything from out-of-state hunting, non-resident tags, all the way into maybe discussing, John's a school teacher, so we might be discussing a little bit of the school systems and guns and all that kind of good stuff coming up. You want to join in, feel free. 888-932-5682. That's 888-9-DAKOTA. You're automatically put on hold. We'll get to your call, and we'll be back with more Dakota Prairie Outdoors after these messages.
As an independent insurance agency, Dakota Community Insurance partners with leading insurance companies to offer products that are designed around you and your farm insurance needs. As a leader in farm and ranch insurance, we can help you to minimize the risk to you and your operation, including farm equipment, livestock, farm buildings, and crops. Stop into your local branch to visit with our insurance agent or visit DakotaCommunityBank.com. You can rely on us when nature strikes. Dakota Community Insurance.
At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
MoPro Guide Service, the best on Lake Oahe. Brent and his staff will give you the most enjoyable fishing experience, always having the latest in electronics, gear, and the most comfortable Lund boat on the water. Fish with somebody who lives in Mobridge, South Dakota, the heart of Lake Oahe. If you need a place to stay, the Morest Motel has newly updated rooms with free internet, a family-owned and operated business. Go to OaheWalleyes.com. That's OAHE walleyes.com for the best fishing experience Lake Oahe has to offer.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
Pfeiffer's Western team of Andy Murdoch and Jim Sabby would like to invite you to sit down and talk about the future of land planning. Whether you're looking at selling, buying, or options to hand it down to the next generation, Andy and Jim will lay out all of the options for you. It's a great time to buy or sell, and with interest rates to make it profitable. Pfeiffer's Western team, Andy Murdoch and Jim Savvy. For more information or land updates, go to Pfeifers.com. Rockin' 7W has all the panels you need. Freestanding panels, windbreak panels, feeder panels, and the original protester panel. If you don't know what that is, it's a sort panel that makes sorting calves from a cow a breeze. You can do it in a fraction of time with just one person on foot or horseback. You can custom order sizes to fit your current operation, or you can start from scratch. Rockin' 7W also does trailer repair on any size trailers, mobile welding, and custom cattle hauling. Call Justin at Rockin' 7W at 701-206-1030. That's 701-206-1030. Rockin' 7W, the farmer and rancher's go-to guy. Western Frontier Insurance. Agents that understand you, your needs, and the community. Whether you're looking for coverage on your farm, ranch, home, or auto, you can trust that Western Frontier Insurance will find you a combination of price and coverage that works for you. No fancy jingles, no talking boxes or animals, just good neighbors helping to keep you covered. Western Frontier Insurance. Offices in Hazen, Washburn, and Wilton.
You know you can shop at the North Dakota Cowboy Hall of Fame online at NorthDakotaCowboy.com. Just click on Shop. Find inductee playing cards, special edition pro rodeo cards, mugs, ornaments, and much more. Find out more information on our winter roundup in Arizona in January, as well as February's annual meeting in Valley City. The North Dakota Cowboy Hall of Fame, very active on social media. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Have a great winter, and we look forward to seeing you in historic Medora this coming spring. Meanwhile, go to NorthDakotaCowboy.com.
When it comes to picking the right financial institution that best suits your unique banking needs, we invite you to come bank with Dakota Community Bank and Trust. Recently named North Dakota's best small bank in Newsweek's America's Best Banks in 2021, we believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our online and mobile customers, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking. Here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
Our outdoor heritage is important to North Dakotans, and the state's oil and natural gas industry is advancing the possibilities for conservation. The North Dakota Outdoor Heritage Fund receives up to $40 million per biennium from oil and natural gas taxes. The industry is reclaiming land for future generations, and it's developing our state's natural resources in harmony with our great outdoors and wildlife. North Dakota Oil and Natural Gas, advancing the possibilities. Brought to you by the North Dakota Petroleum Foundation.
Don't you worry, one day I'll settle down. And when that time comes, I hope you're still around. I hope you're still around. I hope you're still around.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Dakota Prairie Outdoors Saturday edition. Good to have you along here this morning as we're ready to take phone calls at 888-932-5682 is the phone number, toll-free number. John Arman from Ultimate Outdoor Adventures TV is my guest. John, a couple of events I got to talk to you about here coming up in South Dakota, some upcoming dates. July 8th is the application deadline for youth waterfowl and non-resident waterfowl. July 12th, online applications open up for antelope season for the archery side of things. And on July 14th in South Dakota, Canada Goose in Bennett County, online application date ends. So a few dates you want to realize there. Now, on the North Dakota side, we were just talking about, they just did the drawing lottery for deer. And explain to me, I know how it works here, but there's a lot of tags
left over. And most of them are going to be antlerless, of course, here. But when you look at so many people, you know, it's hard to get drawn. It's hard to get drawn. It's hard to get drawn for maybe a buck tag in certain units. But I mean, if you really want to just go deer hunting for the meat, it should be a little bit easier, shouldn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, and I'm not sure what the answer is on that one because I don't know. And the thing is, like I said, the tough part for me on some of these leftover tags, and it happens in the outer state area too that I hunt, is so the guy's got permission to hunt a certain area, you know, a ranch or whatever, and you know, some of these areas we put in for like 99.9% private land. Yeah. So you need to have a relationship with somebody to get onto that place. Well, there'll be leftover tags. And so what does everybody do when there's leftover tags? They scarf them up and they have nowhere to hunt. And I struggle with that here, that some of these units will have leftover tags. And then because people don't get drawn, they scarf them up without thinking, do I have a place to hunt? Have I talked to anybody? And then what happens is we get a lot of people in these areas driving around on roads, not having a place to hunt. So I understand we have tags left over in certain areas, but I'm not sure how or what we could do to make it better.
Well, I mean, just in 3F2, there's, let's see, any antlerless, 1,151 of those tags, and 301 antlered whitetail available still. So that's impressive. Here, let's go to the phone lines and go to a 391 number here. Good morning. What's your first name?
Hey, good morning, Scott. This is Wayne.
Wayne Muth, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing? How are you doing, John?
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. Great fish this week. Looks like you had a great time.
Yeah, we had a blast.
See, it's awesome to get out there and enjoy that. That's for sure. See, I had the question about big game fees, tag fees, and you know, I did a little research this week, and North Dakota. For their deer tags, I mean, they're kind of in the ballpark with other states in the area. South Dakota's $40, Wyoming's $42, Colorado's $42, and Minnesota is like $34. But when we come into the elk and moose and bighorn, we have a $30 tag. And if I was ask you guys a question saying, if we could increase your draw rates by 50% for those big three, would you consider the change? What are your thoughts?
Well, for me, there's nothing you can do out there. Go play around at golf. You know, go do anything, and it costs you money. And I'm not trying to say make it too expensive, but it's a resource that needs money, you know, to put back into and stuff. So if they raise the fees a little bit, I would have no problem. I mean, I really wouldn't. It's something that I love to do. And it'd be regardless if my deer tag was $100 here in North Dakota, I would still be doing it. And I'm not a rich man. I just enjoy it that much.
You know, I ran some numbers. So, you know, I would suggest increasing the current tag fees from $30 to $250 for each one of those.
You're talking for the big three, right, Wayne? The big three.
For the big three. Yeah. Because right now, if we go to Wyoming, or let's say South Dakota, for a resident, they pay $290 for a bighorn tag, and they pay $185 for an elk tag. In Colorado, a resident pays $320 for that bighorn tag. And in non-resident tags, did you guys realize that if a non-resident drew a bighorn tag in North Dakota, they paid $600 for it, and they can draw a bighorn tag in North Dakota, and somebody has drawn one in the past and has shot one in North Dakota. There's allocations for non-residents to draw a bighorn tag. And that, you know, I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that, but I just think that the tag fees are too low. And I think that the Game and Fish Department can increase even the application fees from $5 to, let's say, $50 to one of these. And I think what would happen is your tag applicants would drop. And when that happens, that gives everybody else an opportunity to maybe get better chance of getting drawn. And I think these three are looked at like it's an easy hunt, and I don't think people realize what it takes. And So, that's just my thoughts, and just want to throw that out there. I think the tag fees can be looked at as something too that could help the state out for revenue and generate some conservation, net enforcement, gas prices for the enforcement guys out there, whatever it would be used for. So
interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, John, anything to add to that?
No, like I said, again, I have no problem with it because we, and again, some people are going to complain that it's super expensive and they're going to light it up. But again, if it's something that you enjoy and love and you understand the conservation part of it and that portion of it, it doesn't hurt. It really doesn't. It's an opportunity at once in a lifetime hunt. It's your least expensive part of the hunt. So, we're going out of state and we're paying $1,000 for elk tags in some places. So it's one of those deals that it's part of it. And, again, I sometimes think that it would, like you said, increase your odds a little bit, and it will maybe take the numbers down a little bit to some of these people that just throw in automatically just because it doesn't cost that much money.
Yeah.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, Wayne. I appreciate the call.
You bet.
You bet. You bet. 888-932-5682 is the number. Let's go to another quick one here, a 471 number. Good morning. What's your first name?
My name is Holly.
Holly, what's on your mind today?
This is not related to your current subject, but I just wanted to put it out there. There is a landowners informational meeting for the landowners impacted by the transmission lines that are coming through. It is Monday night in Flasher at the Branded Bar. And this is for basically Grant and Morton County, but we really don't have the names of people from Oliver County as well. So they would be welcome. And again, that's Monday night, 7 Central at the Branded Bar in Flasher.
And that is something I was actually talking to one of the gentlemen that's coming over for that. And I'm impacted by this as well, Holly, here. So I'm actually going to probably try to head over to Flasher and sit down with you guys as one of the landowners that being impacted by the transmission lines.
Okay. Yeah. There is also one for the Montana side, and I believe that's going to be Tuesday night. I don't remember where, but Kevin Brown from the Pro organization, would be the one to contact for the location and time on that.
Perfect. You bet. I'll get that. And I'm actually going to be doing some of that on my Farm and Ranch reports on next week's program. But yeah, good reminder. Flasher, Monday night, 7 o'clock Central Time. If you're impacted by the transmission lines, be there.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Thanks a lot, Holly. You bet. And that's one thing a person doesn't realize, along with everything else we got going on in the Badlands here, John, one of the things we're dealing with is transmission lines coming across. Now, it's hard enough for me to do a water project and get NEPA studies done on that, but these transmission lines, evidently, they must have better archaeologist studies going on than what we can find to put water in for livestock and wildlife, because it seems like they get their stuff approved pretty quickly here. But we'll get to that and more. Second half of the program coming up your way. Dakota Prairie Outdoors continues. John Arman is my guest. If you have questions, comments, feel free to call in at 888-932-5682 is the toll-free number, 888-9-DAKOTA. Talking about everything. Is it too cheap to hunt? As residents go, we'll find out. We have some comments that have been texted to me about that, and we'll get to those after a few messages here. I'm Scott Bachmeyer. Dakota Prairie Outdoors continues right after these messages.
As an independent insurance agency, Dakota Community Insurance partners with leading insurance companies to offer products that are designed around you and your farm insurance needs. As a leader in farm and ranch insurance, we can help you to minimize the risk to you and your operation, including farm equipment, livestock, farm buildings, and crops. Stop into your local branch to visit with our insurance agent or visit DakotaCommunityBank.com. You can rely on us when nature strikes. Dakota Community Insurance.
At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
MoPro Guide Service, the best on Lake Oahe. Brent and his staff will give you the most enjoyable fishing experience, always having the latest in electronics, gear, and the most comfortable Lund boat on the water. Fish with somebody who lives in Mobridge, South Dakota, the heart of Lake Oahe. If you need a place to stay, the Mo Rest Motel has newly updated rooms with free internet, a family-owned and operated business. Go to OahiWalleyes.com. That's OAHE Walleyes.com for the best fishing experience Lake Oahe has to offer.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
Pfeiffer's Western team of Andy Murdoch and Jim Sabby would like to invite you to sit down and talk about the future of land planning. Whether you're looking at selling, buying, or options to hand it down to the next generation, Andy and Jim will lay out all of the options for you. It's a great time to buy or sell, and with interest rates to make it profitable. Pfeiffer's Western team, Andy Murdoch and Jim Sabby. For more information or land updates, go to Pfeiffers.com. Rockin' 7W has all the panels you need. Freestanding panels, windbreak panels, feeder panels, and the original protester panel. If you don't know what that is, it's a sort panel that makes sorting calves from a cow a breeze. You can do it in a fraction of time with just one person on foot or horseback. You can custom order sizes to fit your current operation, or you can start from scratch. Rockin' 7W also does trailer repair on any size trailers, mobile welding, and custom cattle hauling. Call Justin at Rockin' 7W at 701-206-1030. That's 701-206-1030. Rockin' 7W, the farmer and rancher's go-to guy. Western Frontier Insurance. Agents that understand you, your needs, and the community. Whether you're looking for coverage on your farm, ranch, home, or auto, you can trust that Western Frontier Insurance will find you a combination of price and coverage that works for you. No fancy jingles, no talking boxes or animals, just good neighbors helping to keep you covered. Western Frontier Insurance. Offices in Hazen, Washburn, and Wilton.
You know you can shop at the North Dakota Cowboy Hall of Fame online at NorthDakotaCowboy.com. Just click on Shop. Find inductee playing cards, special edition pro rodeo cards, mugs, ornaments, and much more. Find out more information on our winter roundup in Arizona in January, as well as February's annual meeting in Valley City. The North Dakota Cowboy Hall of Fame, very active on social media. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Have a great winter, and we look forward to seeing you in historic Medora this coming spring. Meanwhile, go to NorthDakotaCowboy.com.
When it comes to picking the right financial institution that best suits your unique banking needs, we invite you to come bank with Dakota Community Bank and Trust. Recently named North Dakota's best small bank in Newsweek's America's Best Banks in 2021, we believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our online and mobile customers, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking. Here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
Our outdoor heritage is important to North Dakotans, and the state's oil and natural gas industry is advancing the possibilities for conservation. The North Dakota Outdoor Heritage Fund receives up to $40 million per biennium from oil and natural gas taxes. The industry is reclaiming land for future generations, and it's developing our state's natural resources in harmony with our great outdoors and wildlife. North Dakota Oil and Natural Gas, advancing the possibilities. Brought to you by the North Dakota Petroleum Foundation.
Don't you worry, one day I'll settle down. And when that time comes, I hope you're still around. I hope you're still around. I hope you're still around.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Dakota Prairie Outdoors Saturday edition here around the Dakota Territory. It's good to be here. It's good to be in the northern tier of the country. John Arman from Ultimate Outdoor Adventures is my guest. John, I'm going to catch us up here with a couple messages from things that we talked about. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So we were discussing leftover tags on the North Dakota side for deer tags, and this is a message comes in, says there was 5,500 leftover tags all across the state. So that's that. Eric says beef is cheaper and better. Leave the tags alone in South Dakota. Eat meat.
And he also came back and he asked if I've heard anything about the ranchers in Platte, South Dakota, and the 30 by 30 land grab. I have not, but I will try to get in contact with some of the folks down that way because that's another thing we got to look at too, John. We can sit here and discuss, tags and with the cost of tags and hunting as a non-resident or hunting as a resident in any place that we go. But as somebody that hunts, especially big game animals, now we're against organizations like the Audubon Society and Nature Conservancy, Wildlife Fund, 30 by 30 land grab. They're trying to make everything look like in quotes here. If you're seeing on YouTube, I'm doing quotes here. Conservation, right? Preserve and protect, and they're using words like that, but they're also coming in and kind of doing the backdoor job on a lot of private landowners too. So, I mean, you can't really let your guard down in today's society, my friend.
No, it's scary. There's always somebody that's trying to take something away from you.
Yeah, that is a fact. All right. So we discussed a few things. Let's talk about school shootings. John, you're a school teacher. What do we need to do differently? Besides, it goes back to parenting, I think, and mental illness. But what in your mind, do you have parents like angry with you because you do an outdoor show or you shoot things and now you're teaching their kids in school? Oh my gosh, I mean, how is it being a teacher and then dealing with it in this time of day?
Well, where I teach at, I really have most of the kids are very interested in what I do and ask me about it and say they watch me on TV, and I've never really had anybody that was negative about it. But we posted a picture the other day, with Shelby holding my AR because we were shooting prairie dogs, and we got some comments that said we were insensitive because of the time. And my response to them was, we hunt, we don't shoot people. This is a gun no different than my other X amount of guns that I have. And again, it's our world we live in that they don't understand. When I was listening to somebody talking, one of the senators or whatever, talking about, there was a gun debate. It was with that Colin. He's a lawyer, African-American guy that stands up for Second Amendment rights. And he's on Instagram and Facebook quite heavily. And he was in a conversation with someone that was anti-gun. And this guy was talking about that he can't believe that we use 223s to hunt with because of the devastation. And is there any meat left? And is there any meat left? And it just baffles my mind. They have no idea and understand that a 223. And one of the reasons, and I'm not military, but anybody's military can tell me this, but a 223 is used in military. One of the reasons is because it wounds and injures people, which then takes 2 or 3 people to take that person off the battlefield, from what I heard. That's why we don't use, everybody carries around a 50 caliber that just blows someone apart. So these are on the lower end of guns, and it makes people feel good. And for me as a school teacher, the best way and the only way to stop a criminal with a gun is a good guy with a gun. So I believe that every school we have should be armed. There should be, if they don't want to fund security guards or police officers, then there should be teachers that would volunteer to get trained, because I think you need, I carried guns my whole life, but again, I would need some kind of training, and I'm not a hero, but I think that if there was a sign outside my school that said teachers on the premises do carry to protect the livelihood of the kids and the other staff members, that would solve 99% of people coming into that school to shoot it up because they know someone's there.
I agree with you. Now, my South Dakota listeners help me out a little bit now. I'm trying to remember when we had this discussion. I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. I believe some schools in South Dakota made it legal or did a program where they paid for the teachers to go through the training and be able to carry. And I know there were some schools that did this. I can't remember which ones. It's been so long ago. But I help me out, my South Dakota listeners down there, and call in 888-932-5682, whether you think it's a good or bad idea. And let's discuss it here a little bit. But I agree with you, John. I think, same thing going into any business. if you know that the person behind that counter or that teacher or somebody else knows how to protect themselves and is carrying, there's less chance of anybody wanting to go in there and try to rob or shoot up that place.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think you could do a study. It'd be real easy to do a study where all the murders take place and the shootings take place and the bank robberies and stuff. Or not bank robberies, but just robberies in general. How many of them are armed? The facilities they rob or shoot up are gun-free zones. Yeah. And again, I would like someone to tell me why they don't want teachers armed. I mean, and again, I'm not saying just give every teacher a gun.
No, you got to train and you got to know how to properly use it.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? And I saw a special where they had some teachers, some that went through a training, and then they had a guy come in with paintball guns and stuff, and that person just froze and put their hands up, And again, I still believe that 90%, it's kind of like getting in a fight, Scott. Do you pick on the biggest guy or do you pick on the little, the weak guy? How many big guys that are 6'5", 250 pounds have somebody come up to them and want to start a fight with them? And it's because of their presence and their appearance. And so these schools with an appearance, with a sign that says, our school district protects our students and whatever, and so teachers are armed or may be armed, again, that's going to be deterrent.
I got a message that said, Scott Bolger, he says it's probably Tri-Valley School in South Dakota. He thinks that did this. Now, on the other hand, the teachers have to be willing, because as a teacher, I've been seeing these videos on how to put a chair through the lever handle of your door handle in your classroom, and that's supposed to stop everybody thing, But the teacher, if you're going to sign up and say, I will stand up to protect our children, and that takes a lot of guts to say and have that mind capacity, John, that says, if somebody steps into this school, it is up to me to stand against this person. And how many teachers do you think would do that?
Well, if anybody, I've watched enough shows and you see what happens. And as a school teacher and as a parent, how could you not? And I've said that I'm no hero. I'm not anybody special. I'm just a teacher, a man, but there is no way that I could be in a school and let kids get shot. And I would much rather die with a gun in my hand trying to protect kids than with a book in my hand or a chair trying to kill or protect a kid.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not claiming to be a hero, but I would hope that the good Lord would give me the power to
find that courage to stand up. Yeah. Stand up and go against these guys. Nope. Did I lose you, John?
Nope. I'm here just struggling.
Yeah. Yeah. I got you. And I was always wondering why we couldn't use some veterans.
Absolutely.
I mean, some of these guys,
people that would do it.
Yeah, pay them, and let's go.
Why do we protect everybody else except the most important things in our lives?
Yeah,
it's absolutely insane that we have senators and people with bodyguards and stuff like that, and we got our kids that are wide open, and we're wide open in Bismarck, and I say it, and I've said it. I said it will happen. We are in a society of crazy people right now. I look at I look at where my school is placed, and we have a homeless shelter not far away, and I know people need help. But when I watch these people walking up and down the street, talking to themselves, picking up cigarette butts and smoking them and things like that, it's mental illness. And it does not, like I said, we're not immune to this. And it's going to happen someday in North Dakota. Thank God it's never happened. And I pray it doesn't happen, but we need to be prepared. Absolutely. And we need to have our schools protected. And it's all the way down to the elementary school, not just the high schools where you think a kid may go, off half-cocked, but all of our school, because all of our children are important.
So most of the schools where you work, do you have are the doors locked? Do you have to check in, go through a metal detector and all this stuff?
We do. We have one entrance in our school, and it is locked. They can come through the first door, then they have to buzz to get in the next door. So they are locked. But again, when you have kids out at recess, and people start lining up and walking in, and a parent comes behind it, no matter how protective you are on certain things like that, we have parents that will stand by the door that we know, and we will open the door for them. And again, even though our secretary will say, please don't let anybody in, if you see a parent, they say, I'm coming to pick up my kid, there's a way to get in the school. I mean, no matter if it's locked or not. So again, we have that precaution, but you need that fail safe, that there's somebody there to protect the kids.
Absolutely. Let's go to the phone lines here and go to a 400 number here. Good morning. What's your first name?
Marty from Stewartsdale. Hey, I appreciate what you guys are taking on here. It takes a lot of guts and common sense. I'm president of my little school board, and it is there are so many hoops that you've got to jump through in North Dakota right now, and I think we need to look at who put these hoops in place, all these obstacles to arm our teachers and protect our children, and vote them out. And if it's school boards, North Dakota State School Board Association, then they got to be held responsible. If it's local law enforcement that's standing in the way, then they've got to be held responsible. But our children deserve better. And like John said, these people go after the gun-free zones. And I just tell you what, I appreciate you guys tackling this subject because it's not an easy one. And but I think you guys are on the right track, and thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Appreciate the call.
Thanks, Marty.
You bet. Thanks a lot. I got a text message comes in, John. It says, the House and Senate just approved more security for the Supreme Court, but won't do anything for the school children. The gun control law that they just passed isn't going to stop a single one of these school shootings at all. And isn't that something that, like you said before, you see these people with bodyguards and everything, and they're okay with the guns that way, but oh my God, take them into the school. We got to have gun-free zones in schools and all these other places. And it's just sitting targets is what they are.
It is. And I don't think people realize, the responsibility as a teacher that goes into this. And that's why I get, a little bit choked up about it, because these kids, are our world. We're with your kids more than most parents are with their own kids. So that relationship we have with those kids is no different with our own kids. And, whether it's a 250-pound, 65-year-old grandmother teacher, she's going to be there to protect those kids. And,
Absolutely.
We're not going to run, and we need to protect those kids. And again, none of us claim to be heroes or anybody special, but there's people that would get trained. And I'm an elementary teacher, and I wouldn't want to carry the gun on my body, but I would sure like one in a safe in multiple places in that school that I have access to, so that if something does happen, that I could maybe prevent something from happening. And then again, I'm not claiming to be anybody special, but we just saw in Texas what happened. Even the police officers failed. And I'm all for police officers, but things happen fast. Things are scary. And I'll never blame anybody for not doing the right thing, even if they're trained in it, because I've never been in that situation. But again, I think that the deterrent of knowing that school is armed and protected. If people knew that Mr. Arman and Mr. Brofflet and maybe Mrs. Bradford or whoever at our school maybe carrying a concealed weapon, do you not think that they would think twice about coming in that school?
Absolutely. Now, John, I'm going to play a little devil's advocate here. You said you probably wouldn't want to carry it on you, maybe in a safe. And when something happens, like you said, it happens fast. Why wouldn't you want to have it on you?
Well, again, it's hard because I'm an elementary teacher.
You think it would be scary for some of these kids to see that?
I think it would be, and again, it'd be different if I was a standoffish teacher that didn't give hugs and kids are hanging on me all the time. But I got kids hanging on me all the time, and so I think that, you know, if you have it strategically placed in multiple places in that building, you know, where I have, you know, if I'm at one end or I'm at the other end, because there's only, you know, doorways, certain ways and things like that, that you would have access to it, or in my room. You know, I don't know the answer. You know, the only other thing I thought about is carrying one in my boot, would be something that I would have on me then, because on my hip with kids, I wouldn't want to scare them. And then I wouldn't want to have that gun, you know, accessible, where kids are hugging you all the time. You know, as an adult, people don't hug you very often, but as a school teacher in elementary, it's a little different. So, I mean, there'd have to be some thought put into it. But again, I've always said that, you know, we need to do something, because if it does happen, I can't even imagine living with myself if it was our school and I did nothing or even tried to do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I appreciate you always being open and honest, especially as a school teacher and as a outdoor television host. You know, what you have to go through sometimes. And while we live in an area in the Dakota Territory that is predominantly pretty open and accepting of what you and I do, we do have those that will comment or send letters and all that good stuff too. So I mean,
and
you have to do it.
If we're trained in it, what is the difference between a trained a teacher and a trained someone else? I mean, again, I'm not taking away from the police. My little brother was highway patrol, but if I go through a certification to carry, you know, again, and I carry now without, you know, special training, you know, but you have that opportunity to protect your family and loved ones, and that's what we would want for our own kids at school.
Yeah, I tell you, it's one of those things we got to look at too, and we have to address the issues that are coming up, you know, and by making a red flag law. Okay, so, when I don't know if we have enough time for this. Let me vent on this one here a little bit. These red flag laws. So, I mean, if I feel that John Arman is acting mentally unstable, I can say that you better get your guns away from John Arman. Without any proof or anything, that could happen. All right. So,
right,
I mean, and we're looking at a world of mental illness like we've never seen before.
And that I was talking to my wife about that and explaining to her. I said, you know, and again, I am for background checks. I'm for that. If you buy a gun, and this is my own personal feeling, and I don't believe HIPAA should get in the way. So if I go in and I'm mentally unstable, and the doctor knows I'm mentally unstable, and I've had issues, there should be a little box check. And so how easy would it be when they run my background check, which they do already, and they just see it comes up and there's that box is checked, then they can't sell me the gun. Okay. It didn't infringe on my rights as my mental illness or whatever. I mean, that mental illness has something to do with the way I operate in the world. So it doesn't infringe on anybody. But again, that way it's, you know, you're diagnosed mentally unstable is a little different than having a pissed off neighbor that doesn't like me say that I'm mentally unstable and they can come and confiscate my guns.
Exactly. And even if like you said, I mean, it could be a neighbor that you didn't have you had an argument with or what have you. I mean, but it's okay to dress up like cats and go into schools here, John. But anyway, we're up against the end. We'll continue on the YouTube side of things here and a little bit more non-PC side. If you want to join me, Dakota Prairie Outdoors Radio on YouTube. Eat some meat, drink some milk. Have yourself a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in this morning. All right, stations, thank you so much for continuing with me here. We're going to continue on the YouTube side of things. Now, John.
Yes, sir.
The red flag law stuff, when you're looking at this now, I mean, when it comes to anything that you and I do, and we look at other people, we're like, that's kind of goofy. But the way they were brought up, they think that's normal. They look at you and I and think, well, those guys are kind of goofy. You know, so, I mean, what a terrible law. Just a terrible thing to even try to implement because
it is because you interject opinion into things, and it's like, so you and I get in a piss and fight, or say you get a divorce,
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I said, there's just too many things that can happen when someone has, a grudge with you. And again, I don't know all of our laws, but I know that if I go buy a gun, I have to have a background check.
Yep.
Which I have no problem with, none whatsoever. It doesn't bother me. I don't need a gun that fast that I can just walk in and walk out, because I can basically do that now. It takes maybe a half an hour total to purchase a gun legally. And I don't know what the laws are going into a gun show. But again, this is my own personal belief, is that I don't know how we get around, because one of the things that is a struggle. So if I give my daughter a gun, does she have to have a background check? And that's why when I get guns now from my kids, they, even if I buy it as a gift, I have them come in so they fill out the paperwork so it's in their name.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing I see that's a struggle, is that if I, want to sell my gun to my child, and again, there should be a simple way to do this, so that if I do want to sell it, because I don't believe that we should be selling the guns to people that we don't know, because that's how it may, and again, the liability part of it too, because I would feel terrible if I sold a gun online or whatever, and I went to some guy, and I have a friend that actually quit selling guns, and he worked for a sporting goods store, and it was because a guy bought it legally and ended up shooting himself. And he had, he struggled with that, which it was not his fault. But, so these background checks, I have no problem with it. It's like my suppressor. It shouldn't take 6 months.
Right.
But
you got to do your due diligence of getting checked out. And that's, I mean, even if you get a job, they do a background check on you. And, that I have no problem with that too. I mean, that I can understand, but if you want to do family to family type things, but then then you're looking at hairy stuff there too, because, I mean, you can have one side of your family that might be off the deep end, and, they might steal it. I mean, that's the thing, is a lot of the guns that are used at these shootings, they didn't go and buy them. They stole them or grabbed it from their parents or grandparents or something like that,
and that's a tough thing. And, and after this coronavirus, they apparently didn't give a shit about my medical privacy rights or whatever, because I had people calling me, asking me when I got corona, and I'm like, when is it any of your business if I'm sick? So, I don't know why we can't have that, mental illness. If it's there, it should be on your record, and it should be able to be accessible when buying a gun, because again,
but then
that's pretty simple.
Then the argument can come up, John, who decides on your mental illness? I mean, that this doctor that thinks that you have mental illness probably thinks that this kid that wants to dress up like a cat in school is just fine.
Well, and again, we've gone on that one. I told somebody, if you're going to cut your wiener off or freaking want to pee in a litter box, you need to go see a psychiatrist. There's something wrong there. I mean, again, if that's what you want to do, but then I think you should have a diagnosis of mental illness. I mean,
I agree.
It's just not normal. And again, we have to somehow rely on our professionals, that are there, the psychiatrists or whatever. I work with kids that are unstable, emotionally disturbed. But no chance in life would I want them to have a gun, just because they just will never. They've got issues.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's a tough thing. And again, even if like I told someone, I said, if you wanted to solve gun violence, you hate to be the guy. I watched, Jamie do a video on that, what a gun does. And I'm like, people have no idea what our guns do. If you don't hunt, you don't understand what a 22 does versus a 12 gauge shotgun with a 3.5-inch double-aught buck will do,
Yeah.
So when people say an AR does this, and then we'll go on and say, well, we can basically do it with any gun we have, and we can do it with a baseball bat or a knife. And there's no way that you will stop people from killing people. It is the way of the world. It sucks. We've got ourselves into where people are have no remorse about things, and whether it's a mass shooting or someone driving through a parade, when someone drove through a parade and killed 19 people, they didn't try to take away all the cars.
Yep.
We're not going to, we have to address the root of the problem, and that is the mental illness and not locking up people that are supposed to be locked up and kept in prison. I don't know how like I said, the gun crime, the only way to get rid of gun crime is you'd be able to push a magic button and there's absolutely zero guns in this world. And then you would stop gun crime, but then whatever way you want to kill somebody, you would figure it out. Like I said, Cain and Abel.
Yeah, evil will find a way to hurt people. There's no doubt about it.
And I've always said there's never been a good person kill someone. I mean, like I said, not for a reason except for protecting themselves or going to war. It is bad people doing bad things. And again, I've had these guns my whole life, and they've never shot anybody, and they've never been pointed at anybody. Thank goodness I've never had to use them for self-defense. But like I said, that gun will sit there for eternity and not do a thing unless I choose to do it.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and I tell you, it's got to start here. You got to do something. It'd be nice if North and South Dakota could be the leaders in school, but then you got to get the school boards got to be on top of it, and then I don't know if there's funding that the schools are going to lose from the federal side if they do something where the teachers are going to be armed.
Yeah, but
who knows?
But we have money in this state, and again,
true.
What people have to understand, whether it's on the game and fish side, whatever laws we are looking at or whatever things we want changed, the only way to change them is by people, by the way you vote and the way you stand up for things. And for the majority of my whole life, conservative people like you and I don't say a lot. We may talk smack in the bar to each other and say we'd like to change this or that, but we're too busy working to show up to some of these things, and we need to start showing up. We don't have to be jerks about it. We just need to let people know how we feel. And I think when they see guys like you and I stand up, then it makes it a little easier for them to stand up. And then when you see your neighbor stand up, it makes it a little easier for the next guy to stand up. And again, I don't think that we're always right, but I don't think we're wrong very often on some of these things, Scott. And I don't pat myself on the back. I just look at things with common sense.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say common sense, and that's not as common as it used to be anymore.
No, it really isn't. And I know I've argued with people. I said when we were kids, we carried guns all the time.
Yep.
We had access to guns. There was no safes, and no one was getting shot. It was because of the way we were raised. And how many shootings are there out in your neck of the woods?
Exactly. Yeah.
And everybody owns a gun and then some, but no one's getting shot because if you got a problem with your neighbor, you might take them outside and have a fist to fist, and settle it that way. You don't take a gun out and shoot each other because you were raised better.
Yeah. It's a crazy time. I've been looking at some of these schools across in bigger cities. I mean, it looks like basically a holding cell where these kids are walking through and getting stripped down and searched before they can come in. And I don't know if, that can't be very comfortable for the kids to want to go there either, I don't think.
No, and I think they need to make choices where these kids have choices. Like I said, I like the idea of that whatever money it costs you to go through public school, you should be able to take that money and go wherever you want.
Exactly.
If you want to go to a different school, go to a different school. Then maybe we start being more accountable to these schools and having better schools. And again, I think Bismarck Public Schools have done a phenomenal job. I don't have a lot of complaints. My kids went through them. I didn't have any problems with, things that shouldn't be taught or, like critical race theory, anything like that. It's been, a very good educational system, but, times are changing and, that's like with the school board, you get one or two liberal people on a school board that may not be from here or have different ideas, and things can change fast.
Very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they use things like, you're discriminating, or, they use all those kinds of terminologies that people are scared to talk up to, and they're like, okay. And then they cower down and say, okay with it.
Yeah. And that's the problem is people are so worried about getting called a name. Call me whatever you want. I don't give a rat's butt. I got thick skin, and I grew up where I got teased, and I was the good athlete. And I mean, when you got 4,000 kids saying you suck, you can't shoot. I mean, hey, roll with it, man.
Yeah.
And then find the guy that started it, and then find him at the party and whoop his butt. That's the way we did things. You know,
the good old days, man. I like that.
Well, you know, sticks and stones, you know, may break my bones, and I know words hurt kids, but you have to have some kind of resilience in this world, because you're going to get picked on, whether you're an adult, a kid, whether you're positive or you're popular or not popular. One of the things that we've set our kids up for failure is that they don't know how to get teased anymore. And it's like, come crying to me. And again, part of it is just growing up. And there's a difference between bullying and getting picked on. But, you know, we got to do things better for our kids, and we're the adults in the room, and we got to figure this out, because you know what you'd have been like if you didn't have a parent. And I know I'd still be in jail if I didn't have parents, because I was just a kid. You know, and I had fear of my dad, fear of my mom, fear of my neighbor, you know, and again, fear is a healthy thing. And I wasn't like scared and coward, but I just had in the back of my mind, I better not screw up, because I might get a butt whooping here.
Exactly. Yep. I agree. We need to go back to the old way of teaching, but now it's about parenting, and that's where it starts. There's no doubt about
people,
it.
Yeah. When you have parents come in and rip us, and again, I feel bad for our principals and some of our administration, because they don't have any power anymore. You know, they do something and they're afraid of getting sued. And it's like, you know, bring it on. This crap of, you know, like I said, worrying about skin color. We never worried about skin color when we were kids. And I don't now. I don't judge anybody. If you're an ass, you're an ass. I don't care what color you are. And you know, you work cattle, and you know that there's guys that you work cattle with that you're like, man, that guy's a jackass. But it's just who he is, you know, and you learn to deal with it, or don't invite him back.
Yep. It is true, man. I appreciate you being on the program here and going a little longer.
All right, man. I appreciate it, like always, Scotty.
No, I think it was a good discussion. I think, like Marty said, there's a lot of people that don't want to talk about it. So,
and again, and I don't mean to get choked up, but I'll tell you what, it's a tough thing, because it's on the back of my mind quite frequently, because I'm one of the few male teachers, and if the principal's gone, and even if the principal's there, I step up. I feel it's my role that if we have a disgruntled parent or someone that's yelling or raising their voice, or we got the drunk guy walking across the playground, it's my job to protect those kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And on behalf of all of us, that thank you for what you do, and not only as a teacher, but also on the outdoor side of things, showing the right side, especially when you bring your family involved in that too, man.
Well, thank you, buddy. Thank you for letting me get on my soapbox.
But we forgot to talk about your archery camp.
Oh, that's it, man. We're at 26 kids now, so we're about full. I got a great donation from an oil company out in Killdeer.
Good.
I forget the name of the company, but Jacob Wheeling got it through, I think, his company he works for, and that's like a $2,000 donation to camp.
Wow. Nice.
So yeah, really nice. So we're looking good. And if you're ever happen to be close to town and you want to swing by, you know, during that time, just to see what it's like, and maybe even help out a little bit. Teach them how to spot and spook.
I like spot and stuff. I love that, man. I really do. Yep. I mean, and it's probably a lot easier, you know, here in the Badlands, because we have areas where we can hide and sneak around and do that, you know. But what days is that again? July?
It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 13th, 14th, and 15th.
Okay. Cool. And you do that at Nishu?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, 8 to 5, and then afterwards we tear down and have a few drinks and kind of talk about the day.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, you have yourself a good weekend. Again, I appreciate it, and we'll just keep in touch.
You, Scotty.
Anything else you need from me, let me know.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
You bet. Have a good one.
Yep.
See ya. All right, YouTube. Thanks for hanging with me. I really do appreciate that. If you're watching this as a rerun, I thank you. Please subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe, and I appreciate that too on the
YouTube side of things. Have yourself a good weekend. Enjoy.